The wing commander at work. Taking respite from the swirling maelstrom of nonsense that currently engulfed Number 10, Wing Commander Tom was grateful to retire for a time to his office at the government headquarters and get on with a bit of proper work. A distinguished career in the British Secret Service had seen him face all manner of deadly foes and found him embroiled in any number of bizarre and dangerous situations that would be unimaginable to your average Mr. and Mrs. Tottenham. But somehow all this had failed to prepare him adequately for the string of unforeseeable events that had led him to becoming head of the Cambridge Intelligence Agency, much less the ridiculous scenario of war with Oxford and now the shooting of Tony Blair in the kitchen. Tom remembered only too clearly the fateful evening of the dramatic capture of the ex-Prime Minister. Following the political unease in the years after Brexit, Blair became increasingly uneasy about his own safety, as incidents of unpopular public figures being lynched by a furious proletariat were broadcast daily by the media. Correctly deeming himself to be in the upper echelons of the unpopular, Blair decided to go into hiding. Unfortunately, the early days of the revolt initially resulted in a chaotic immigration system, with strict controls on all comings and goings across the border. Any unauthorised exits or entries, for a time, came under indiscriminate attack from a very confused armed forces, and Blair found himself stranded in the UK amid the disorder. His only option was to go undercover. Disguising himself as a seaside fortune teller, he fled to Scarborough and was soon living a comfortable enough life, speaking in riddles and telling people what they wanted to hear. Existing mostly on shellfish and ice cream, Blair began to warm to his new life, which in many ways was not so different to his old one. As the United Kingdom settled down into its divided, but ultimately peaceful, new arrangement, Blair found himself making a fair to middling living as Gypsy Rose Tony. And so it may have continued had he not allowed his battered ego to resurface. When thinly veiled ramblings about the Good Friday Agreement and the minimum wage crept into some of his tarot readings, some of the more astute fortune seekers became suspicious. As the newly formed Cambridge government began exploring the option of using Blair as a pawn in their plot to reunite Great Britain, Wing Commander Tom, ear ever to the ground, jumped at the opportunity to follow up the rumblings from Scarborough. A consummate master of disguise, Tom assumed the identity of a flirtatious single mother named Pauline and sought out Gypsy Rose Tony. As Tom drew back the faded satin curtains and entered the softly lit enclave of the fortune teller's hut one balmy Wednesday evening, he hoped that his carefully gathered intelligence was correct. The air was thick with cloying plumes of incense and patchouli oil, and the feeble flames of tea lights were reflected from every angle by tarnished mirrored adornments sewn into the billowing purple drapes that hung from the walls and ceilings. Towards the back of the hut sat a table that at first appeared elaborate and ornate, but upon closer inspection appeared to be constructed from balsa wood and gold paint. Upon the table was the obligatory crystal ball, a scattering of rune stones, and a deck of tarot cards. Behind the table was a figure with head bowed so that all was visible among the flowing robes was a jaunty headband fashioned in a similar style to the table, but with the foil of chocolate coins sellotaped at uneven intervals along the rim. In the guise of Pauline, Tom was a mischievous redhead wearing heels just slightly too high and a hemline to match. He smiled coyishly at Gypsy Rose Tony whilst giving his red patent handbag a quick squeeze, confirming for his own satisfaction that his trusty Sig Sauer lay snug within. "Come in and take a seat," a voice trilled from behind the rail. "Gypsy Rose Tony already knows why you are here." "Oh, really?" replied Tom, worried for a moment that his cover had been blown. He took a seat opposite Blair and loosened the latch on his handbag. "Of course, my dear, Gypsy Rose Tony knows all." Blair lifted his head and the foil coins blinked in the candlelight. His face was an unsettling anarchy of rouge, 4 types of eyeshadow, false lashes and several lipsticks, some of which were even on his lips. Tom kept a straight face, but was feeling silently superior about his own, much more subtle camouflage. You have come to ask me about a man, haven't you, my dear? Continued Gypsy Rose Tony. No need to look surprised, young lady. The spirits speak to me most clearly on the matter. Well, the spirits are right, replied Tom, in a manner of speaking. Ah, the spirits never lie, and this is a very particular man, am I right? Yes, a very particular man. A tall, dark, handsome man. Well, no, not really, no. A man who would increase child benefit by £2.50 a week above the rate of inflation? Aha! I knew it was you. Tom leapt to his feet. Not an easy thing to do in stilettos. And, flinging his wig aside with one hand, pulled his sidearm from his handbag with the other. Anthony Charles Linton Blair, I'm taking you into the custody of the Cambridge Intelligence Agency with immediate effect. You do not have to say anything, but if you do say anything, I will shoot you in the bum. Do you understand? I'm not one for small talk, you know. Damn my popular social policies, wailed Blair, throwing his hands up in submission. I knew they would give me away eventually. Didn't you hear what I said about talking? Snapped Tom. Now, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. I can tell you, it'll be a very difficult journey back to Cambridge with a bullet in your backside. Come on.